So if I go back to my sample library and I just search for flames, I could just use the search features, fire, and there's a folder called fire, and then it's got a whole lot of different fire. So what sort of fire will I want? I kind of want a small intense fire really, because remember what I'm trying to do is the hell tower, which is on fire here. Maybe if as the camera pans away, so here we are, we've got this burning claw coming out of the ground, so some sort of fire for that. Let me just go Option J, get back to my thing. So I'm just going to listen to a few to see what I've got. Low roar, intense crackling, that could be it. Heavy rumble. What the metal pings are. You know, I quite liked this one. And that one. I'm thinking I'll do a bit of sound design here, because with this tower, I really want it to be a, almost the screams of the damned as well as fire. So we can see the fire, but it's like this thing that's torn the fabric of space and time. So I've got some process files down here. I'm just going to throw in the low roar. And actually, I'm just going to put that back out and remove it from the session because I didn't option drag it in. Thing here, and this time I'll hold option and drag it into my process files, and that will copy it. It probably copied it anyway because it would be the wrong format, but just to be sure, I'm going to keep this mono, so I'm just going to get rid of one side of it. I've been dragging it onto the two mono tracks. And what was the other one I wanted? Flu, I think it said. Yeah, so I kind of like that sound. And I'll option drag that in as well. There. Let's grab the old icon. See. It's not the right length. First things first, let's line them up. I'll just control grab it all. Okay, I want less crackling and more howling. Let's get them. Because I want it to be a bit unearthly. It sounds too normal. It's the air through a flue. So here's another opportunity to show you a tool. If you hold down on the trim tool, you can use the time compress expand tool. So what this does is, instead of trimming out existing files and leaving it the same, this time compresses or expands it. So if I want this exact thing to last less time, I can compress it. And now that file is happening over a shorter period of time. It's a very useful function. So I've basically got the trimmer, the time compression expander trimmer tool. If you're wondering which plugin it's using to achieve this miracle of modern processing, if you go to the process, there's a section called time compression expansion, and you can choose which plugins based on the ones you have on your system you're going to use. So this TCE is the cheaper, nasty one. This Xform one is probably the top of the line one. Time shift's not too bad. If you own Serato Pitch and Time Pro or Speed by Sound Toys or Wave Sound Shifter, any of those, they'll pop up. Of course, we could do the same thing with Elastic Audio, which is essentially what the Xform plugin is doing. I'm actually going to go for this one for the very simple reason that it's kind of older, and it will hopefully make some interesting noises when I stretch this file right out. As artifacts, because it's not as good. So I don't want it to be too good. I want a lo-fi time expansion. So let's see what that's done to it. So all of the artifacting is actually adding to it, which I quite like. Let's see what it's like together. Sometimes I'll do things like well overextend it. And then I can cut it down to size, so I can sort of go here. Let's use the real fire, but then use colon to move my selection down. Trim, Command T. It's cool. It's doing that sort of thing. I reckon it would have sounded even better if I pitch shifted it. So I'm going to grab pitch 2 again as the cheaper, older version. Now we're talking. I'm just going to option drag it down here, maybe put a bit of a lo-fi. This is where I can do sort of bit crushing stuff, but I don't actually want to do that. I think I will do SansAmp. Lots of distortion, not too bright. And let's just turn that down to begin with. Cool. This might be a little busy, but I'll try this one out for size. So I've got 1:32 of it, and I guess I'll need a lot of that. So because I only want a mono file because I want to pan it all around, I'm just going to solo these tracks, and I will bounce this out. So I'm just going to go File, Bounce. As soon as you solo anything, that's the only thing you're going to be recording in your bounce file. So I'm just going to call this one Hell Tower 1. And I want it to be mono summed, 24-bit 48K, and I'm going to import it after the bounce. So that means I'm going to bring it back into this file session. And I'll do offline, so it's faster than real time. Let's bounce that out. There it goes. Importing back in. It's asking me, do I want a new track? I'm just going to go clip list. What I generally do with that sort of thing is I'll now mute those files. And what did I call it? Hell Tower. So under H for Hell Tower. Hell Tower 1. There's my file. I can bring that in. And that's going to be under one of my Atmos tracks. And I want it to be there, and I want it to move around. So I might even take file and time compress expand it again. Yeah? Just to see if I can get it a bit more crazy sounding. So I'm going to go from the start, time compress expand it. And because I've done that and I've incorporated the fire, I don't need it. I could have, of course, just done the processing of the wind through the flue, which was our original sound, and make this new crazy sound and then add fire in so that I can mix it later. I can link these two tracks as a group and then automate them to move together. But because I've done that, I've incorporated that sound of the fire in and sound designed a new sound. I don't need this track. So I'm just going to hide and make inactive just in case I go back to it at some point. So you can hear there's quite a lot of layers going on now. We've got the harbour just lapping gently in the background. Bit of wind. The Hell Tower itself. Electrical cable. And that's obviously the sound's going to be moving around as we go. I'll just automate the pan. I'll just go into the pan there and I can move it around to follow the picture. I won't do that now though, because that's, and I suggest you don't do that before your work in progress, because that's a useful thing to do as a mix process to show your use of automation. So I've got those three layers, plus I've got the music going. And off it goes. So you can see as a mix challenge, it's going to be interesting to see which things make it to the top of the picture as we go. So there we go, some Atmos ideas and so a little bit of sound design mixed in there as well. So we'll pick it up next time where I've got to add some bits into the shark from the same time I was doing the Atmos. So that's probably enough for now, and I'll edit this up.